bad did Aaron Rodgers look?
Yeah, he looked bad. And here's the thing. It's okay to look bad, especially with all the new things that we have coming into a football season now. Nobody really has training camp, and nobody really plays in any preseason game. But if you spent the offseason creating a situation like he created the situation, and then you come back in that first game, Stephen A., you cannot play like that. Mm-hmm. You cannot play like that because it looked like you did not want to play. And some of the mistakes that we've seen that we saw him make yesterday, that we never see Aaron Rodgers make. Aaron Rodgers is so careful with that football, and he was throwing the football around and being a little loose with it. But the whole team played bad too now. That defense, I mean, we'll talk about it, but the Saints went up and down the field.
Let me get a bit specific because I want to lean back on you with your football expertise. First of all, let me get something out of the way first. We all know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
You know how I feel about him. That was the most atrocious performance of his career. He was so awful. Yeah. He was so awful that embarrassing doesn't even begin to describe. And I'm going to say something that I don't say about too many professional athletes. And I'm certainly not accusing as if I know definitively this is true. I'm just talking about, the optics, how it looked. It looked like he didn't care. He looked like he did not give a damn about how he played or how this outcome ended up being. He looked a bit lackadaisical, a bit laid back. He should have. It was the most shameful performance of Aaron Rodgers' career. To throw the ball, he threw the ball behind Davante Adams one time and got it picked off by Audubon. I believe that's how he spelled Paulson Audubon. I believe that's how he pronounces his name, okay? Then he flings up the football. He threw it behind Davante Adams for the first interception, overthrew somebody else when he got intercepted by Marcus Williams, okay? It was, and then to sit up there and to take offense, because that's how it seemed when he talked about, when Matt LaFleur came back and talked about how embarrassed we were. It was embarrassing because Davante Adams was on the record in the press conference prior to the game talking about this is the most motivated we may have ever been. We are hyped. We ready to go to season. So we got that issue. Right. But as bad as Aaron Rodgers looked, and it was atrocious, equally as bad is Matt LaFleur. And I'm going to tell you why. The entire team looked ill-prepared. Ill-prepared, number one. And number two, remember, they were a top 10 defense last year. Yeah. Top 10 against the pass, top 10 overall. Matt LaFleur replaces Mike Patton as your defensive coordinator. You bring in Joe Barry, who didn't have the greatest resume in Detroit, who didn't have the greatest resume in Washington as a defensive coordinator. Why the hell is he your defensive coordinator? Because their defense didn't look that great either. That's what I'm saying, Mike. Yeah. That's what I saw.
There's only so much Matt LaFleur can control now. Now, he can try to get a team ready. But what I saw looked like a team that spent all of the whatever training camp they had talking about what went on in the offseason instead of talking about what they need to do this season. And that looked like that was a problem. So I don't know how Matt LaFleur can get in the middle of that if those things are going on in the locker room and he's not in the locker room.
I also want to say, too, that pass rusher was all over him. He didn't have the greatest protection. They couldn't run the ball either. I do agree. He looked atrocious, but I just need to say that in his defense. But I want to come to you on this. Would you say this outcome was more about Rodgers' poor play or how sensational Jameis Winston looked, Michael?
Man, listen, and let's be real. We know that was an anomaly with Aaron Rodgers. That's not something that's going to happen ever with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? He's not going to play that way again. It's the worst thing in the world for a football player to even have those words circling around him that he quit or gave up on his team. So I'm not even worried about that. I know he'll show up. But boy, what Jameis Winston did. Y'all can say what y'all want to say. Stephen A., what he did, and I always say this, folks, I always say this, that hope will dictate effort. You give me hope, I will give you great effort. You give me no hope, you're human. I don't care who you are, what you do, you will give little effort or less effort. That's just human nature. And what Jameis Winston did was gave a football team, a city, in a region right now that needs hope. He gave them some hope.
He gave them hope. But let's dissect why he did just that. He did just that because the Green Bay Packers were ill-prepared. He did just that because the defensive coordinator clearly didn't have his defense ready. He did just that because we're looking at him and we're saying The last time we saw him as a starting quarterback, he threw 33 interceptions in a season.
2019.
Okay? 30 interceptions, 33. I know it's 30.
33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
30
Okay?
interceptions.
That's what we're saying. Yesterday, he did none of that. He didn't throw a single interception. Numbers-wise, we look at it and we say, okay, 5 touchdowns. The man threw for 148 yards. Ooh. It wasn't for 348 yards, 400-plus yards. It was for 148 yards. What does that tell you? He completed 14 to 20 passes for 5 touchdowns, not a single interception. We appreciate the fact that you're succeeding Drew Brees. You spent the year under him. We watched Sean Payton tutoring you as well. You beat out Taysom Hill because you came into camp with questions as to whether or not Taysom Hill was going to be the starter. And I give credit where credit is due. He didn't make mistakes. And he executed, and he deserves a lot of credit, and he reminded us he is a starting quarterback in this league, and that touchdown pass to Harris was something special. Make no mistake about that. So that was a beautiful thing as well. But in the end, Deontay Harris to be exact, all I'm saying is that in the end, we see Jameis Winston, he's back. The biggest thing to peel from him is there were no interceptions. That's the biggest thing.
Right.
Everything else? Okay.
And it's layup stuff here. This is layup. And I hear what you're saying. You're talking about, I wanted to see the guarded numbers. I wanted to see the big numbers. Jameis Winston gave you that. You talked about 2019. He put up 5,000 yards in 2019. He started his career off throwing back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons. We've seen him go up the field with the ball. We've seen him throw it all around the field. See, what you call an issue and a liability, not throwing the ball deep, I call a great asset because that's what he needs to do right now. He needs to learn how to play the short game. And he played the short game all game.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.